The Game Awards are coming up this Thursday, so let's talk about it. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, elephants and squirrels, this is DJ Raviesta here on Rhinos Inc. Gaming, and this is another episode of The Crew, and today I am joined by my buddy, my boy, BackpackGuy.
Hey, what's up?
And we are just going to talk about the nominees for some of the categories, not all of them, because honestly, we don't know some of these people out there. Like, there's esports teams and whatnot, and like other content creators, and I honestly don't know some of them, so it wouldn't make sense to talk about them. So we're just gonna stick to what we know, and let's get right to it. So, are you hyped? Are you hyped to watch the Game Awards?
Oh, 100%. I can't wait. I've already got some. There are certain games that are no-brainers, but I can't wait to see what the people decide.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's gonna be interesting. Like, when it comes to the nominees themselves, like specifically for like Game of the Year, right? We've got Doom Eternal, we've got Final Fantasy VII Remake, Ghost of Tsushima, Hades, Animal Crossing New Horizons, and The Last of Us Part 2, all of which were really well received when they came out. I'm honestly not surprised to see these games here. Like, I'm really not surprised. Well,
I'm a little surprised to see Last of Us 2, only because of the initial backlash it got.
Okay, yeah.
I loved the game. Don't get me wrong. It was amazing. It was pretty much all that I wanted out of the follow up of the original. But like, because of how so many people reacted to it initially, I'm actually shocked that it not only thrived but became a nomination for Game of the Year. Personally.
Okay, wow. Yeah, I do remember that there was a lot of backlash from just how I think it was like because of like the writing and like how the story kind of continued and whatnot, right?
Yeah, you could say that. It was. Have you played through the story?
I have not.
Okay, so I watched most of it. I watched a good piece of it, but from what I heard, the main issue most people had was the fact that the main protagonist was a lesbian.
Oh,
yeah,
that's it.
Those people still exist, unfortunately. So that it got a lot of initial backlash from a lot of people who didn't even play the game.
Wow.
Which would
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. You definitely have those kinds of people out there who just wanna. I'm gonna be outraged because outrage.
Yeah. So I loved the game. It was amazing. The specs and the story itself and how it progressed and the things that they added on to in the first game. But I'm just shocked that it got this far because of that. You know what I mean?
All right. Yeah. I mean, overall, I think, like, personally though, like, this is of course coming from someone who hasn't played the game. It seemed to me like it would be one of those nominees, to be honest. It just seemed like that kind of game that, it would be well received at some point and people would want to really, see it become Game of the Year at some point.
100%. Yeah. I'm glad that didn't stop it. I really am, because if you can be human and look past, stupid little things, I mean, it's like it's not a big deal at all. But if anyone who logically actually looks at the game, it's definitely that tier. You know what I mean?
Okay.
It's definitely one of those amazing games that deserves recognition.
Absolutely. And you know what? Speaking of recognition, and earlier I said like I wasn't really surprised at all of the games here. To be honest, let me kind of recant that. I'm sort of surprised that Hades was on the list, and this isn't because I think it's a bad game or anything like that. I wish I'd gotten to play it. It's just one of those things. But I remember like when the game came out and like for a few weeks after it and everything, like on social media, people were just like, this game is amazing. This game is fantastic. And because of that reception, like I honestly thought like, okay, well it's one of those games that people have an interest in, but I didn't think it would be like Game of the Year material, to be honest. But I'm happy for it. I'm happy for the developers who made the game, and they have this nominee for Game of the Year. This is really cool for them. So
yeah, I'd actually never even heard of it until they brought it up for this. But I'm definitely thinking about giving it a try now, since it's apparently good enough to at least be on this list,
Absolutely, yeah. Like I was thinking of at some point picking it up on the Switch, but I will see if maybe I will do that. Definitely a cool nominee right there. And then all right, so there's of course a few other, categories and whatnot, like best game direction and best narrative. And honestly, like for game direction, narrative, and a lot of these other categories, we're seeing a lot of the same games.
Oh
Like,
yeah, I knew from jump. I knew Ghost of Tsushima and Final Fantasy would take over a lot of these categories because they're those types of games.
Yes.
I feel like in order to be game of the year, you have to be rivaled in a lot of these other categories as well, because I think that's what game of the year is. I think you have a lot of pieces like great direction and great narrative and things like that all come together and ultimately create what we deem to be at least a remotely perfect game.
Precisely, yeah. It's all of those different things with different aspects, like you said. And
Yeah.
it really goes to show that these Game of the Year nominees, they definitely, they're nominees for a reason. If you go through looking through all of these different categories here, and I like that. It's really cool. But there is still some diversity when it comes to how some of the other categories are. For example, like games for impact. You've got a lot of different titles in here, probably a few indie titles, and that's really cool. I like that kind of diversity. And best ongoing game, we're seeing some different games from like the Game of the Year nominees and best art direction and stuff like that. And
I am shocked that Destiny is anywhere in here, to be perfectly honest. I'm sorry to cut you off, but I had to throw that out there. Dude, Destiny has been in, at least from what I've seen on YouTube and places like that, Destiny has been dead for a while. I've not seen anything from like major content creators dealing with Destiny, and the fact that it is anywhere on these award screens is actually shocking to me. I'm glad, but I was shocked when I first heard.
Okay, I mean, didn't Destiny 2 get like some DLC earlier this year?
It did, but so the original game, it's one of those games that it got so hyped and it had so much potential, but it just kept like not following through. And especially with the first game, it's kind of acceptable because it's like, in a lot of cases you put out the first game just to get it out there, just to kind of be like, hey, this is what we have the possibility to offer. But when the second game bombed, a lot of people jumped ship. You know what I mean? And there is content and there is DLC, but I'm just shocked that it was able to recoup enough. You know what I mean? I'm surprised that more people weren't like, okay, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me, type deal. You know what I mean? So I'm surprised that there are still people that are like, you know what, I'm gonna give it a third and fourth try.
Yeah, that might be it, because I think it's probably a bit of those diehards who are just like, okay, I've been in this from like Destiny 1 and Destiny 2. I'm just gonna keep going and see what happens. Adapt as things move along, and kind of not be shaken by what takes place. So yeah, I think it's those people who are really just contributing to what Destiny 2 is right now.
Right, you're probably right. And it was funny because I was actually when I was talking to Rebecca and Nick still plays Destiny, and I actually asked him. I was like, tell me it's worth going back, and he himself was like, honestly, it's like I wouldn't really. And I'm just like, well, that's annoying, because I was one of those day oneers. I was one of those guys that I played Destiny 1, and even though it had, it wasn't as much as I wanted, it was definitely enough to get my appeal and get Destiny 2. But after Destiny 2, I kind of I dropped off. Right. So I was hoping like he was gonna say, yeah, do DLC changes the game and all that, but I'm honestly, I might, if they put out something free, which I heard that some parts of this are, I might jump on just to double confirm for myself.
Okay, all right. So at the Game Awards, we know that they sometimes announce certain things, and by sometimes they always do. They always have something there to announce, and it's always up in the air as to what it will be. So what we're gonna do now is we're just gonna speculate as to what we might expect to see, as well as some, really outlandish, out there, probably not going to happen, sort of things that we might want to see. So first, let's start with the realistic stuff. So, Reg, what do you think is going to end up at the Game Awards when it comes to announcements?
If I had to guess for announcements, definitely, I would pretty much expect some form of Apex Season 8 being promoted. Maybe not hardcore, like, yeah, this is definitely coming soon, but I would expect them to at least allude to it, just because of how famous the game is. It's actually one of the games that's nominated for an award here, and they always come out with a pretty good DLC overall. So I definitely expect that. Same with Fortnite at some point. It's if not that day, definitely sometime soon. Trying to get that holiday fever going.
Okay, yeah, that'd be cool. Apex. I think when it comes to announcements, we might get a new Bayonetta 3 trailer. I think we're gonna get like an actual gameplay-filled trailer where we get to see how it actually works. We'll see a little bit more of the story, because we all remember what happened back in 2018, and we got Bayonetta 3 like teaser trailer, and it was hype. It was really hype. It was great. It was awesome, but we didn't get that much with it. I mean, I'm sure Game Explain had like a 30-minute analysis video on it, so they were able to get a lot out of it. But we haven't seen much from Platinum Games and the Bayonetta team, right? So I want to see that, and I think it's possible because it's been a while, and they still said that they said earlier this year that they're still working on the game. It's still in development. Of course, situation from this year has kind of stifled things a bit, I'm sure, but I think honestly they have something for us to see, because they want us to be hyped for sure.
I can see that, yeah, definitely.
Now another one, then I know you said you wanted to talk about this as well, is we could potentially see some Breath of the Wild 2 information, maybe a trailer there or some sort of information, right?
Yes, I really do think that they're going to drop something in that regard. That game, it got a lot of hype, and we definitely had enough time to kind of, for some people, play through it multiple times. So I really think that because of its popularity and kind of how long we've been waiting since, that it would be very likely for them to drop something that day.
Oh yeah, that would be cool, because I do want to see more of Breath of the Wild 2, because we only got that one trailer from, I don't even remember when. So yeah, I just want to see more of it. What's the gameplay all about? How is it going to progress? Of course they're not going to tell us everything, but something would be nice. Yeah, Breath of the Wild 2, I want to see it. I think it's realistic.
Yeah.
Now, something else, Genshin Impact. So Genshin Impact came out on mobile, PlayStation, and I think PC? I'm not sure. But really cool free-to-play action RPG game that was announced to be coming to the Switch this year. And if it actually does come out this year, I think, just maybe, at the Game Awards, they'll announce it and say, it's ready to download today. And, they'll have it go live. That would be really nice. That'd be kind of in the same vein of how, like, Nintendo Directs have that kind of thing, right? So I would be cool with that. I'd be very happy to actually get my hands on the game, because I've actually held off on playing it on mobile because I just want to experience it on the Switch. So I'm ready for the game. I'm ready for it.
100%, man. That would be awesome.
Oh yeah. So now that we've gotten the realistic stuff out of the way, let's jump into the more out there predictions. So, Reggie, what do you got, man?
Okay, my out there prediction is it's tethered slightly to reality.
How dare you?
It could happen, but likely, it's kind of just a wish. Yeah, so I'm thinking of there could be like a Ghost of Tsushima DLC, something where either he battles a new enemy on his homeland again after they defeated the Khans, or maybe he decides to go off and travels. Maybe he's obviously done with most of his training, and he decides to travel and embark on this epic I would say borderline. I would dare say borderline. Legend of Zelda type quests, where he goes out and goes through different journeys, and if they could take this game and make it where he would have to go into like camps that were more dungeon like, you know, where there were like a area where caves were common, and he would have to like, you know, take a torch down caves and fight and clear out things like that. I think that would be really cool to have like the similar battle style but kind of different mentality about fighting.
Right.
You
So
know,
like,
because in the game it was much more open, and if you were losing a fight, you could legit just run away. Whereas if you go into a cave,
it's
you
harder to
only
run
have an
away.
option. Exactly.
So it's essentially a different approach with a similar kind of, you know, play style, of course.
Right. And
Okay.
I think that could be interesting if they decide to undertake that.
Yeah, that'd be cool. And I'm sure a lot of people would be receptive to that, especially if they know when to make that DLC available to people, as well as if they make that DLC good.
Yeah, definitely, definitely, it's that, and if you really want to hear a deep, almost conspiracy theory fantasy world, any other Kingdom Hearts game. If they brought a Kingdom Hearts game into this, I'd probably assume I was sleeping, because they released one of those games so willy nilly. If it happened now, I'd be like, yeah, okay, but this is.
So like just a random Kingdom Hearts announcement, essentially.
Anyone that actually contributes to the story, because they do release like just some kind of like minor games just to kind of be out there. But if they brought up anything remotely close to a Kingdom Hearts 4, I'd be like, that would be the only thing about that whole scenario that would make me skeptical. I'd be like, yeah, you take 10 years to pump out 3, you're pumping out 4 and 3. Okay, yeah, stop. Now you're lying to me, and I don't appreciate it.
So yeah, I guess those are your pie in the sky, outlandish. All right, so I've got two myself. First, I'm gonna start off with this, I guess semi realistic, but still kind of up there, pie in the sky. I want to see Tatsunoko versus Capcom ported to the Nintendo Switch. I want to see like not even port, like HD remaster of Tatsunoko versus Capcom. Like if you guys haven't heard of this game, this is a 2D fighting game that was back on the Wii. This is like 2008, 2009, I don't even remember. And absolutely love that game. One of my favorite fighting games. Has my favorite video game my favorite fighting game intro of all time, specifically the Japanese version of it, not the American version. The American version was nice, it was cool, but the Japanese one had its own little flair to it. It felt really, you know, intense. But I would love to see that ported to the Switch. Like that would be, woo, I would be ready for that. Now,
that would be cool.
Yeah, like it was such a fun game, such a fun game. Now, this next one is just, I'm sorry, like if you guys want to send me to the asylum for this one, like feel free. But let's go. What I think is going to happen, right, at the Game Awards, we are going to see that High Voltage Studios is going to be revived, and they, working with Sega, of course, they are going to revive Conduit 1 and 2, port those to the Switch and the PlayStation 5. And then, after they announce that those ports are coming, they're going to announce Conduit 3. And it's going to be amazing. It's going to happen, folks. Like this is real. This is real.
You know what, Raven? I 100% believe you. Now, if you excuse me, I'm gonna go call the police.
Look, man, I'm glad you believe me, because I believe me too. This is the truth. You can write this down in your addendums and agendas.
I'm writing it down. They tend to ask for statements.
I mean, hey, man, they're gonna believe me too. But, like, honestly, like, let me just talk about Conduit. So, Conduit 1 and 2, those are Wii games as well. I loved those. They were fun, really great first-person shooters, but I don't think they were received as well in general. Specifically because of the console they were on. The Wii was one of the most highly selling systems in, video game history, but it wasn't with like, the people who are straight up like we game to game, right? It was more of the people who game every once in a while, or they're there for like Wii bowling or whatever it might be. And
like family events too.
Exactly. It wasn't for the people who were like deep down, I'm going to game for the next 7 hours doing this. So
Right.
it honestly, it came out at the wrong time. It's definitely a really interesting game because of the premise and all of that. I'm not going to talk about that right now. But, if you guys want to learn about that, just look up Conduit 1 and 2. Yeah, I would just like to see that game have some kind of revival because it was just really fun for me. It was a lot of fun because like I played with my friends online, I played with my friends locally, and it was just a good time. So, yeah, High Voltage Studios is coming back, and Conduit 1, 2, and 3 happening 100%. And there's gonna be DLC with Crash Bandicoot in it. Yeah.
Okay, the Crash Bandicoot might actually happen because they're actually bringing that game back. So that possibly.
That would be weird. Like Sega and High Voltage Studios. Hey, Activision, can we use Crash Bandicoot in this first-person shooter? Activision's like, sure, that makes sense. Here you go.
that and Split. If, one other game that it's literally never gonna happen, but the one game I really wish they brought back is a racing game called Split Second.
Ooh.
Have you played it?
I have not. I remember. I think you had mentioned it a while back. It's where like you can like not make up, but like trigger different events to kind of change up how the race works and everything.
Yes, dude. I loved that game because there was a very specific route where I think I took Tony there the first time he played just to mess with him. And for those who don't know Split Second, the way it works is that you drift and what was it called? Where it's a technique that drivers use when they drive right behind the driver in front of them to reduce wind resistance. And you do that to build up points essentially. And then once you get a certain amount of points in this certain block, you can use it to trigger certain events and throw other people off and make them crash or go take a wrong route or whatever. And it's a racing game, so whoever first wins. And I took Tony to this one area where it was just a big dam. And I started playing, like pretending like I was doing bad. I'm like, oh wow, man, you're pretty good. You're catching on pretty well. He goes, yeah. And I think he was in like either first or second. And I was just building up my points because if you fill all 3 bars up, you can do like a really big move. So I filled all 3 up. And then we got back to where the race started after our first lap. And I clicked pretty much the Alt button. And the thing about it is you don't hear much, but what happens is dramatic. So all you hear is, and Tony was just like, what was that? And I was just like, He was like, Reggie, what'd you do? And the entire dam falls down. And then I zoomed off into first place and I'm winning the race. But it's one of those games where it's like timing is everything. To the point where if you set off a trap too late, you could affect yourself. Ooh. So it's not just like bam and it automatically goes for your opponent. No. It makes a move. And if it misses your opponent and you don't get out the way, it'll affect you the same way. So I like it because it's realistic in that way. Obviously, no one's sitting down, making this. It could kill people. But it's very like, we're gonna do this, but if you hit it, you're behind too. And it's one of those games that like it's infuriating depending on exactly how it goes, because there have been times where I've been in first the whole game, but when you're in first, you're always in front, so everyone's aiming at you at some point, and you'll get down to like halfway through the last lap, and somebody will land something just the right way, and it'll throw off your whole game.
Ooh.
And you're just like raging because it's like I was in first place for 3 laps, and then the 4th lap, here he comes, and it's oh my god, it's so much fun though. It's one of my favorite games that like Yeah, I think it was on the PlayStation 3, which is why I know for a fact it's not happening. If you skip a whole generation, you're usually not coming back.
Hey man, let's keep up hopes, man. Split Second 3 coming soon. They're gonna skip 2.
I was about to say that. I'm like,
Split Second
no,
3 is
had your
coming.
chance of 2. You're coming with 3, and it better be 1080 HP, and it better be flow motion.
No, it will be
I wanna be able to
8K.
smell the tires. You understand me?
It will be 8K smell-o-vision with I don't know what other scary things they could put in there, and it'll happen.
VR. If it was VR, it'd be that could actually work, and it'd be awesome. Actually,
8K smell-o-vision with VR. It's happening, man. Game Awards, check it out. Geoff Keighley's been hiding some stuff from us, I'm telling you. But yo, guys, that's gonna be it for us. It was fun talking about all of this here, and yeah, Game Awards, it's coming up Thursday, and we're gonna check it out, see what happens, any fun announcements. Hopefully there are some, and you know, stuff we can come back and talk about. And so yeah, that's gonna be it. Reggie, anything else you want to put in there?
No, that about sums it up. I'm just excited and can't wait. It's gonna be, no matter how it turns out, these are all great games, and I think they all deserve some sort of award for the hard work and dedication that clearly shows in their performance. So I'm just excited, man.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree with that. These development teams really, a lot of them put in so much work, you know, made a lot of sacrifices to get to where they are right now. And I'm sure that just being nominated in general is astounding for them. So best of luck to all the nominees. I hope they do well. And I will catch you guys later.
Peace out.